So I'm like, oh, you're gonna die.
This is Kenton Claremont from Train to Hunt, and you're watching the Gritty Bowman.
Is the only thing that's got me anywhere is hard work. That's all I got. I'm not the best shot. I'm not anything. So all I know is to work hard. So I can't really back off of it because that got me to the dance.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to keep riding it. I'll just keep, all I can do is give all I got.
Yeah. Calling you fat and the macronutrient fat.
That's
we
right.
should have called it like oil.
We should have called it awesome.
Yeah. When did you know you really liked Cameron?
We became buddies like immediately.
Like
Once
right
we
off the
became
bat?
Friends. Yeah. Well, I had him on my podcast. It's the first time I met him, and he brought me a Hoyt bow. So how could I not love him?
I did.
What did you think when that happened?
I thought I made it.
I love it.
I thought I finally made it.
It's not, I am not joking.
I do not talk with my hands. I don't know what you're talking about.
I do not.
With my hands? My hands?
What? I just Randy Black Eagle.
That's it. Boom.
That's my.
That's how we roll. Just drop the mic and walk away.
The magic is in the movements of whatever your exercise program is, and I like the ones that man didn't invent. We were always pushing, pulling,
climbing,
sprinting.
Yeah.
So I like to gravitate towards those movements that are going to benefit me in the mountains.
A lot of guys are like, I'm just going to do what Aaron does, just hike with a backpack. That's all, and it's misleading.
Yeah,
it's misleading because Aaron, that's not what he does.
Aaron's an archer. He's Robin Hood. People don't want to hear this, but I don't think the hunting athlete is going away.
Yeah. If you're just a mom, you're still talking about fitness.
Heck
like
yeah.
fitness, it's not like, oh, fitness has infiltrated hunting. No, fitness is in every aspect of life and anything we like to do. So it just is part of hunting, just as it's a part of race car driving.
Yep.
All right, folks, welcome to the Gritty Bowman podcast. We're at the Western Hunt Expo here in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I'm here with Dan Staton, my friend Dan Staton. With Elk Shape. Also, you own Spokane Valley CrossFit.
Yep.
And big time hunter. The first time I saw you, I saw your stuff was YouTube.
Yeah.
You got a killer YouTube channel. Yeah. And you put fitness stuff on there, and you have a bunch of elk hunts and stuff on there as well.
Yeah.
So tell folks a little bit about you, and then also how you came onto the whole elk shape idea.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Because that elk shape thing has been kind of used now, hashtag elk shape, across like everywhere, right? But you were the guy that came up with it first.
Yeah.
Right? Am I wrong?
No doubt. We're
100%, right?
We're getting that logo on the Mountain Ops site because they have that elk shape pack. We talked about that today.
Yeah,
no, man. I'm just a hunter, like a blue collar hunter.
Yeah.
Fitness guru, and started out as a personal trainer. Did that for 8 or 9 years, and then eventually opened my own CrossFit with Kenton, a buddy who started Train to Hunt with me.
Yep, Kenton Claremont.
So
He's been on the podcast a few times.
Yeah, Kenton's a good friend of mine. We started the CrossFit Spokane Valley together in 2008, and then in 2010 we both came up with Train to Hunt, and then in 2012 we just said, hey, we cannot serve two masters, so why don't you do that and I'll do this. So he ran with Train to Hunt and I ran with the gym.
Yeah,
which was a good move for both of us. And along the way I had all this hunting and fitness content that I wanted to get out, so I kind of wanted to create a brand. And Train to Hunt's probably more about like sheep hunting and all sorts of hunting. Dude, I'm concerned about elk hunting. So I figured, let's call it Elk Shape, because that's really my concern is, am I in shape at any point in time throughout the year to go elk hunting?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it came from, and the YouTube channel has grown, and it's been fun.
Yeah. So. Now, tell folks, what's kind of your philosophy for fitness? Wellness.
Well, I assume a lot of hunters watch this show. So from a hunting perspective, I kind of just said it. Like when I do CrossFit training, I feel like at any given point throughout the year, I could do a 10-day backcountry elk hunt. I'm ready to go. I'm game ready 24/7, 365 versus I don't really like the idea of having an off season, maybe picking up a few pounds in the winter or trying to like build up or ramp up to the season. I don't like that. I like to be ready 24/7. All the time. And I can get bored really easy. So when I found CrossFit, First off, I was the biggest critic of CrossFit, you know, from
Yeah.
a personal training background. I was kind of more of a bodybuilder, functional trainer, and I found CrossFit. And long story short, probably like you, I drank the Kool-Aid, and then I was all in, all or nothing. And
Yeah.
I just found that it prepared me extremely well for hunting. And I just didn't get bored. It was the constantly varied functional movements and the camaraderie and the competition, and then the community, which is really just family. The family at the gym is really what keeps me going. And the results that obviously speak for themselves as far as I'm ready to go.
Right.
I don't, you know. And
I feel the same way, dude. Like, you know, Aaron and I, we don't take ourselves too seriously. And we make fun of CrossFit. Aaron likes to make fun of me, makes fun of CrossFit. I make fun of him. And we make fun of bodybuilders together. And we both have done kind of a little bit of all of it. But I definitely, my thing is CrossFit. I enjoy it, and I feel like I'm fit. I'm kind of a jack of all trades, but master of none.
Perfect.
Like, I just can do a lot of different things well, but none of them, I'm not winning any races. I'm not lifting the most weight. I'm not the fastest sprinter. I'm not the longest endurance. But overall, though, I'm good at most of it, fitness-wise.
It's my contention that Mother Nature will reward those who have what you just described as a general physical preparedness, where your specialty is not specializing. You're pretty good at a lot of things, but you're not great at one, so you're extremely well-rounded, because Mother Nature doesn't care how much money you make or what kind of car you drive. Or
you feel kind of small when you're out there.
Yeah, she doesn't, and she seems to reward those that can do most things generally well and don't have very many chinks in their armor.
Yeah.
So that's why I've really kind of just stepping back from focusing on one little area or that and just try to be good at a lot of things. I'm not great at we're going to preach to everybody, but we believe the same philosophy.
Yeah.
So
I've had Chris Spieler on the podcast a few times and gone up to CrossFit Park City. You just saw that dude that came by to say hello and thank me for the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And I get those kind of comments all the time from people who see certain guests, and that podcast with Chris Spieler really touched a chord with him, and now he's been going to the gym for 4 or 5 months, and he's like, man, it's changed my life. That's super exciting, and to see that, and you could do that. You could get that same thing if you went, to another gym or just started getting in shape. You start hiking a mountain with a group of guys, and there's a lot of ways to get into shape. It doesn't have to be CrossFit. I'd applaud anybody who does anything fitness-wise and makes that effort moving forward. But I feel like for me, once I remember doing P90X, at home with the video or the DVD and doing some Tony Horton kind of workouts, and just lunges and dumbbells and push-ups and a lot of calisthenic type stuff, some pull-ups. That was great. But I'll say that CrossFit, once I started doing big, heavy barbell squats and deadlifts, that was a huge game changer for me when it came to mobility, and it eliminated injuries. Like literally, I had low back problems all the time. I would get sore. I would have these problems. Well, gone. And one thing that Aaron will attest to is that I recover quickly. For being 42 years old, especially, I don't get really sore.
Yeah.
And the next day I wake up and I can do the same thing again. Where most guys, I don't know that they can. And I think it is because of the CrossFit style of workout that I do. Rather than a lot of guys, if they specialize and they do one activity, they hike the mountain and they hike back down. And that's all they do every single week. There's certain muscles that don't get touched and developed. Yeah. How does that impact a guy negatively down the road?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've always kind of said segmented workouts provide segmented results. You order I'm going to do strength or weights with rest, and then I'm going to do cardio. Mm-hmm. I've always liked that CrossFit approach where they blur the distinction of weights and cardio, and you do it all. And these workouts are, they're intense in nature, but they differ like I could do the hardest workout next to a Navy SEAL who's way crazy in shape, next to our great grandma, and we're all doing the exact same workout. Now it varies by degree as far as where we're at, but it doesn't differ by kind.
Yeah.
And I really like that. As far as recovery goes and regeneration, that is people a lot of times will ask me, like, you know, how have you had success? And it's not that I'm a great archer. I'm sure Aaron Snyder's a better archer than me. It's not that I am a tremendous hunter. There are so many better elk hunters out there. It's just that I have that grit and that recovery where my 10th day is I'm hunting as hard as my first day.
Same with me.
And that is literally my saving grace.
Yeah, Aaron's going to beat me to the top of the mountain at every ascent.
Yep.
Every time. But Aaron is unique in the sense that he can not beat me to the top, but he can also be the same on day 20 as he is on day 1.
That's legit.
He doesn't beat me by a ton, but he beats me.
Yeah.
But I'm right there. But I'm the same. Like day 20, he's not trying to get me out of bed. He's not like, I mean, we are on it and we are grinding every day, and we feel good.
Yeah.
I feel good. The one of the things that helped on those long extended hunts and multiple hunts, you know, in a row, was getting some backcountry food dialed in.
Ooh, yeah.
Because before I would just lose muscle, lose strength, not and just burn myself. So going into the season, you know, I had these certain, you know, workout metrics that I could meet in terms of strength, speed, endurance, and those things would just tank after a month of hunting elk, or you know, a couple of months of here and there going out. And man, I was like, man, I worked so hard to get these gains, and then I just, you know, fritter them away. And so now I work on that a lot more.
So what does that look like?
For me, it's like I get the protein that I need.
Yeah.
A certain amount of protein. I'm not a huge protein guy. Like, you know, I'll hear guys say you need 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass and stuff like that.
Nope.
And I find that I do really well on 100, 110 grams of protein a day.
Yep.
And more than that, and I just feel like I'm just eating too much. Like, it's heavy. It's just not me. Then I eat a lot more fats than I used to, and less carbs. It's just, but when I'm hunting, I'll eat a lot more carbs than I would when I'm just at home. But the food that we brought a lot of Heather's Choice this year.
Oh yeah,
and then I would augment. Heather's Choice had some good servings of protein in it.
Yeah.
And a lot of
wild game.
Yep.
Oh man.
And then we mixed that with some of those meals. Really, my favorite meal was the clam chowder one with salmon chowder.
Ooh.
And then I would have with that I would eat the buckwheat breakfast. Those things were money. Like, I like every single one of them. The like the rum raisin or whatever it is, cinnamon raisin, and then they had like a strawberry and a blueberry, and I was eating those at breakfast and then another one at lunch. So I really liked those, and I digested them well, and they really gave me a good sustained energy. And then your classic, you know, dried meats, jerkies, all that kind of stuff, and then nuts. And I packed a ton of Heather's packaroons around, and they're this, like, you know, coconuts. So there's a lot of coconut fats and stuff in it.
Yes.
And then it had, and it's mixed with, I think, some kind of, I can't remember now, carbohydrate. Maybe it was almond flour, not almond flour. I can't remember now. I think it was gluten-free. Can't remember what's in the pack.
Oh boy, gluten-free.
But it's got this. It's very. It gives me just the right amount of sugar to fats.
Do you add olive oil to some of your freeze-dried meals?
Yes,
that's huge.
Olive oil, and then Aaron and I ate a lot of packets of tuna.
Yeah.
And for one part, we dumped it into noodles and ramen, just because we like top ramen. I mean, as bad as that sounds, every now and then I like to have it's like a soupy treat.
Sure.
And then we dump tuna in it, and I kind of like it as a just because I like it, and it's super light.
Are you weighing and measuring food for a hunt, or are you like, screw it, I'm taking all this camera gear anyways, so my pack's going to be heavy, so
we're measuring it, and we're calculating the calories we think we'll consume per day.
Who eats more calories, you or Aaron?
I think we both eat a lot. We both eat a lot. I would.
It's hard to eat
I haven't
enough.
paid attention. I would say that Aaron snacks throughout the day, and I tend to eat 3 times.
Yeah, those bigger
meals each time. And I'm not sure. I take long breaks between meals.
Yeah.
Aaron's a big proponent of eating every hour or something,
Sure.
and I'm like, I just eat and then I'm done. I don't want to mess with it.
Yeah.
And then when I'm hungry 4 hours later, then I eat. And
Yeah.
then I'm good again for 4 hours, 5 hours, and then I eat again. But when we're chasing and running and gunning on elk, we end up starving all day.
Oh, yeah.
And then I will sit there and make myself eat my 3,000 calories, like right there before I go to bed. Aaron is not as he'll eat a lot. He'll eat 1,500, 2,000 calories, but he's not quite down with that. But I found I can't keep performing well if I don't get that food in day after day, So I try to hit those. I have my calories set, and I try to hit those throughout the day. And I know I'm in trouble if I go 2-3 days in a row, and my 1 gallon Ziploc for each day is practically full. I know I'm not eating.
That's me almost on every trip. I just don't. I'm like Aaron. I just can't force myself to eat enough. I need to, but it's hard. And I do see diminished gains when I get back from September. And it's a struggle to come back and get, because I usually hit September in peak condition.
Yeah.
Like ready to rock and roll. And then that October lull for me is kind of depressing, coming back and doing my first workout of the day, CrossFit style.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you're so sore, and man, I need to eat more on my hunts. Now I do plan and prepare, and I weigh and measure and get pretty nerdy and try to have more fat than anything as macronutrient ratios go, but I need to eat more.
Yeah.
Yeah. My Ziploc bag, I'm like, oh, that's for tomorrow.
Right. No, I'm pretty good about that. Aaron is. We're both pretty good. It's only if we're you know how it is. Like you get on some elk and you're on them all day, and you just didn't stop to eat.
You can't.
You just were in that. You maybe stuffed some things in there, but for the most part, you were just going. It's easy to find yourself at the end of the day, and too many days can go by like that. Where I'm like 2 days, 3 days where that happened. So that's why now it's just I take that 30 minutes to eat all that 3,000 calories at night and stuff myself and go to bed. But
That's cool.
I try.
Do you think doing CrossFit and all your workouts, obviously there's days when you don't feel like training, and I'm sure you continue to just do it anyways. Do you feel like that discipline continues to build some sort of mental toughness that you can take with you in the mountains?
Yeah, Kenton and I talked about that and with Train to Hunt. And, there is absolutely going to the CrossFit gym, not just making yourself go each week, right? But also in a workout, not quitting when it's hard, like taking it to the end of the workout. I think all of that, you're forcing yourself to endure discomfort. You're making yourself do something that you don't want to do or doesn't feel good doing. And I think you have to be careful so you don't hurt yourself and things like that. But discomfort is different than injury, right? Or
100%.
Yeah. So when you're pushing yourself, making yourself do stuff that you don't want to do, I think it builds tremendous character so that when you're on the mountain, you don't quit.
Yeah.
But I think it's life in general, though. If you don't quit in the middle of a workout or you don't say, today's my rest day. I heard Jocko Willink on his podcast the other day talk about, he said, if you think you need to take a break, you just don't feel like hitting it today. You don't feel like pushing your body today. And you feel like, I need a rest. He's like, if you're going to procrastinate, if you're going to put anything off, he's like, put off taking a break. Go to the gym.
Yeah.
Do it. And then if the next day you still feel like you need a break, then take a break then. But he's like, because 99% of the time, you didn't really need that break. It was just your weakness talking to you.
Absolutely. And there's a little voice that everybody has, and it doesn't just have to pertain to exercise, but it's like, okay, I'll go do that in about an hour. Or I'll do that just a little bit later this afternoon. That's not true. You actually need to go do that right now. You need to go work out right now. And if you do that with a lot of little things, could be office-related, goal-related, small daily disciplines, but if you just do those little things, is that your family?
No.
Oh, they're just watching.
I think they like the bear rug.
I like the bear rug.
I have all these kids all throughout the week just come up and play with the bear's head and the teeth and the nose.
It's
and
a
all
good
that.
bear. Don't put it off. Do it like as soon as it's time, and you comes to your mind, and that little voice says you can do this a little bit later. Don't go work out right then and there. And I find that you will get a lot more things done in your life. It comes to shooting for me. Like I have a lot of things balancing family and work and hunting, and my goal every day is to shoot. Now, not like 100 arrows. I don't care about that, but it's to do that in principle. Get 30 reps.
Yeah.
Blind bell, whatever, at the target in my backyard or go to the archery range. But every day, shoot and execute in muscle memory. And every day, it's like I have a little voice that's like, okay, you can do that after you answer your emails, or you can go shoot after you work. I'm like, nope, I'm just going to go do it. I'm going to drop everything and do it right now because it's my daily discipline. I don't think I'm going to get better at archery if I shoot or work towards it 2 days a week. Yeah. Just like exercise for me, like I'm not going to get more fit by working out once or twice. Like
I agree.
It's a daily discipline. And your daily discipline could be just remembering to eat breakfast or remembering to anything.
I totally agree. And I think, as far as motivation to get to the gym and work out goes, for me, I tell myself, I give myself permission to go to the gym and just show up and just go through motions. Or if I'm going to go on a run, I'm like, today I'm not here to be Prefontaine or anything like.
Just trying to win the day.
I just want to go out and I'll just shuffle. I'll shuffle up this hill because I don't feel like doing anything else.
Yeah.
So I'll make myself get out there and I start shuffling. And about 5 minutes in, I'm like, I feel pretty good actually. 10 minutes in, I'm like, I'm running, dude. And then I do a 30-minute run, and I'm like, this feels good. Or I lift weights the same way. It's like I'm just gonna go light, do some lifts, do some things. I'm tired, but the body like responds, steps up, and it starts to feel good. And then I'm like, and then I end up doing a real workout. And so I think it's one of those things where you just got to push past the discomfort, and make it happen. And when you just tell yourself, look, I'm just going to get on the row machine or I'm going to get on the bike and I'm just going to just go easy, usually that turns into a good, healthy workout. If it doesn't, though, that's okay, too.
Yeah.
There are times where I'm like, I'm going to get on the row machine, I'm going to row, I'm just going to row for a while.
Flush it out.
Next thing I know, it's been like 1,000 meters, and I'm like, it's good enough. Yep. Sometimes I'm like 6,000, and I'm like, good.
Yeah.
So I don't put a lot of pressure on myself to meet certain goals or anything. My pressure is just to go each day.
Yeah.
Go, and then see where you feel, and then push yourself beyond that. And then I know some people like Cam just is like, man, I'm going all the way when I show up. I'm just going to push it.
Sure.
I don't go with that. I'm like, I'm just going to go until I feel good. And if feeling good means just crushing it, I'm going to crush it. But feeling good feels like taking it easy. Take it easy.
Well, hopefully you get addicted, because I know I am. My wife will tell you, I'm just not that fun to be around until I exert a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So every day I exert a lot of energy, but it does help me kind of, become the best version of myself.
What would you say, as far as elk shape goes, what are the things that you've done in the CrossFit scene? Because that's primarily what you do to be in shape. What are some of the things that you do to tailor some of that toward elk shape?
Sure.
Or do you?
No, I mean the interval training that you get, which is basically CrossFit, you get the high intensity. Have you read a lot of Greg Glassman's?
Yes.
The founder of CrossFit is Greg Glassman. He's the CEO founder. I have a background in exercise phys, an undergrad and a grad, so I've read many textbooks. But when I found Greg Glassman's writings and his journals, blew my mind, flipped everything upside down that I knew about fitness. He started bringing mathematics, physics involved in exercise science instead of rate of perceived exertion. Like he started using like real world numbers,
measurements and real testable things,
force and power and output. And so where I'm going with that is, if you read the science behind high intensity workouts or CrossFit, you do so much work in a little bit amount of time. It lends itself so you can do so many other things generally well.
Yeah.
And that's as much as I want to say about what I do every day. But I do post my workouts for free on Elk Shape. It's my training journal to hold me accountable.
Yeah.
I do that weekly. But I rest twice a week, and my rest days involve a backpack, hiking.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can't get around the fact that you need a backpack on.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
specificity involved in elk hunting. You need to break your boots in week in and week out and put weight in your pack, get your shoulders, your traps, and your back, and grind. I would love to hike with you and Aaron just on your training. I'm so jealous. I don't live in an area at elevation.
Yeah.
I'm at 2,500 feet. But
it's been a game changer for me.
I'm jealous. You guys have a leg up on everybody. If you're coming out west and you live in the Midwest out east, you better find that rolling hill and you better be doing up and down stairs and get that pack loaded. There is no substitute for wearing a backpack. So I do that every week.
Yeah.
And like I was saying earlier, like this year for 2017, I'm working on my daily discipline of shooting every day no matter what.
That podcast with Spieler was great because he's like, look, we're not saying you shouldn't do sport-specific exercise. In fact, we encourage, you definitely should do your sport-specific movement and exercise, which is climb a mountain with a backpack. You know, if you want a backpack hunt. Shoot your bow, right? Sport-specific exercise and movements. But he explained how, you know, kind of what we touched on earlier, that if you augment that with other things, like we were talking about with CrossFit, just this constantly varied, you know, different exercises, then you have that base of strength and stuff that really, as I get older, puts more muscle on my system.
It's not about muscle, too. I think you've said it before. It's that strength in your tensile, like your structural integrity, your soft tissue, your tendons, your ligaments, your injury prevention. Like
if people looked at you, you know, you don't look like a huge guy.
Nope. I used to be 20 pounds heavier as a personal trainer doing bodybuilding.
But you have, like, what's your snatch?
215.
And how much do you weigh?
155.
Yeah. So when you're looking at some of that stuff, it's like you don't really look like you could do that.
It took a long time to be able to do
right?
that,
Like, you know, I'll squat heavy. Someone looks at me, they're like, it looks average strength. But I can clean and jerk like 315 or so.
Really? Yeah.
And that's heavy. And you know, I don't look like that. And I've noticed that when you do CrossFit, you do get stronger. I don't know that my muscles are particularly stronger, but it's my connective tissue.
Yes.
My joints are like, they hold together. Like there's something there to it that trains for. That said, you know, I do hear people talk about injuries in CrossFit. One of the things that I think is really interesting to touch on is one of the things that people say often is there's that, what do you call it, that expose thing where they did this, I remember it was the Bodybuilding Association or something, did that deal where they said, they came out in their scientific journal.
NSCA journal, which they got sued and they lost.
They lost because they were found to have actually lied about.
It's like slander or libel. Like you can't make up bad things about other companies and put it in writing.
What they said about CrossFit was that it had these crazy injury rates, and they published it, and it became gospel. And then when they went back and did it, they basically they found evidence that they actually completely fabricated the numbers, and they're not based on anything, which was a pretty bold, you know, and because of an industry slice that was taking over, the CrossFit space was taking over a lot of the fitness space, economics, and all about money. That was interesting because that was just came out recently. The injury rates, so, you know, I'll run into a few people here and there who have been injured doing CrossFit.
Okay.
Not to say, you know, they couldn't have been injured doing any kind of fitness.
Get injured going up a tree stand, coming down a tree stand. You could hit a tree while skiing and die. You get hit by a bus. I think it's dangerous in our 3D world, but the upside outweighs to me. Like,
I can say I've been doing it for 5 years at least, and I've never been injured. And I am a serious CrossFitter. Like, I work out it all the time. Right? It's a big deal for me. A lot of it's at home stuff, and then I go to the gym every now and then. But I do those workouts, and I find that for me, it's extremely, like I said before, my strength and fitness all around is feels good. I don't feel like I'm as old as the typical 42-year-old
Definitely.
because of what I've chosen to do. And it's not a huge time commitment. That was another thing that I really liked about CrossFit. I will say I have this weakness, though, doing CrossFit as much as I have. It did make it, because I didn't do a lot of sport-specific stuff. I just did CrossFit. Now, I can throw a pack on and I can go, and I do great. But can I throw a pack on and go 9 hours a day, every day, for weeks on end? That was not as easy for me until I started training for that specific thing. So putting on a pack and hiking an hour to 2 hours a couple days a week, added to my CrossFit, has put me on another level.
And I like the active rest component of hiking with the pack. It is so low impact, and you're beating your heart, you're flushing all the demons out from CrossFit, because it does beat your body up. And I feel like hiking is like one of the greatest active recovery inventions of all time. And to speak to your injury,
or row machines.
Oh yeah,
I do like the rower for active recovery too.
For sure,
it's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, and you can fit a rower in your garage, and it's pretty economical when you consider the price of a treadmill, of other things, get a rower. But I tore my ACL and then started doing CrossFit, and I had a surgery to replace it, scheduled right after elk season, of course. And I noticed leading up to the hunting season doing CrossFit that my hamstrings started really, my posterior, my backside, which is, I say, your mountain muscles, that's what pulls you up the mountains, they started getting so ridiculously strong that I eventually, after elk hunting season, canceled my surgery. Yeah. And I don't have an ACL in this knee, and I don't feel like I need one, and I've never been stronger or more fit than I am now. And so that's that injury-resistant compartment. Because you don't specialize, you have really no chinks in your armor. I will say, for those that are tired of hearing about CrossFit, look, if I can find something better that does better results than this, I would switch in a heartbeat, and I own a gym, a CrossFit gym. But I'm not married to anything. If there's something better, I want to do it. And that's kind of how I found, we're at the Mountain Hops booth. I found their supplements, and I was taking another, and I thought they were better, and I switched teams. And so same with CrossFit goes. If there's something better, I'd switch, but I haven't found anything in 10 years. That's how it is for me. Like, I also enjoy it, right? So I was like, hey, do what you want to do. Yeah. As a fitness dude, if you don't want to do CrossFit, that's cool. Just do what you want to do. Yeah. If you want to run and that's it, or you want to climb a mountain with a pack on and that's all, do what you want to do. My only caution to that is there are guys that are older and have been than a lot of some of the guys that have been doing fitness for a long time that are aging well. Yes. And they do it all. Yep. You look at Cameron, he is not just running. He runs a lot, but he does all kinds of stuff. I saw him in the gym today. There's nothing he's not doing. Yeah, he's stretching. He's stretching. He's doing all these kind of CrossFit-style movements, as well as high-intensity training movements, as well as bodybuilding. Well, he's evolved. He's never kept it the same. He's evolved his game. Yeah. Cameron's a friend of mine, and I'm really impressed. I hope to age as well as him. Me too. You know what I mean? Like, he's really I'm proud of what he does for the industry, and I love that, man. That is contagious. Yeah. And people don't want to hear this, but I don't think the hunting athlete is going away. Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame too, because I was saying this to my buddies on the way down here. When it comes to fitness is in everything. Okay? Like, if you're a snowboarder, most snowboarders are still talking about fitness. If you're a ice skater, they're still talking about fitness. If you're just a mom, you're still talking about fitness. Heck, fitness, it's not like, fitness has infiltrated hunting. No, fitness is in every aspect of life and anything we like to do. So it just is part of hunting, just as it's a part of race car driving. Yep. Or my wife going to the ice skating ring, like with training our kids going into dance class. Like, fitness is part of everyday life to me. Whether you're a mountain biker, snowboarder, or whatever, these sport-specific dudes, most of those guys that are top-level athletes in a lot of these categories, they are doing all kinds of other things to augment their it's not like a guy just plays basketball. Those NBA players, they're in the gym doing all the stuff a bunch of stuff we're doing. The magic is in the movements of whatever your exercise program is, and I like the ones that man didn't invent. They're functional, they're organic, they're found in nature, no
why I
man
like free weights.
invented squats. No man invented, hiking or lunging. It's not a man-made invention. We were always pushing, pulling, climbing, sprinting, killing. Like, that's just our ancestry, and you can't argue it. And so I like to gravitate towards those movements that are going to benefit me in the mountains.
Aaron Snyder, a lot of people think that Aaron just climbs a hill with a backpack. Aaron gets up at 3:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and he goes to the gym regularly.
And he has an extensive powerlifting background, I believe.
Yes.
Which is going to help you.
Yeah. So he does all kinds of lifting, all kinds of varied exercises. You go to the gym and with Aaron, like he did at the CrossFit gym last week. He was doing curls in the squat rack, but his thing is he's doing push-ups, planks. He's doing all kinds of stuff that is not just climbing a mountain with a backpack. Yeah. So, and he tries to make that clear to people, but a lot of guys are like, I'm just going to do what Aaron does, just hike with a backpack. That's all, and it's misleading.
Yeah.
It's misleading because Aaron, that's not what he does. He does
just like you're going to go pick up a trad bow.
He's a gym rat. Aaron is a gym rat.
Harvest a mule deer of that size. From what I can gather, Aaron's an archer. He's Robin Hood.
Yeah.
You got to look behind this. There's more to the picture. You got to dig
Aaron's
a little
subtle.
deeper.
Like, that's the other thing too is you see him shoot a compound and you're like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
90 yards, 6 arrows in a tight group, and you're like, okay. Aaron doesn't talk a lot about. He's like a sleeper until I expose him more on the podcast.
Yeah.
But Aaron himself isn't out there saying, "Yeah, I can do this," although he's doing it, right? And so a lot of people don't realize all the things that Aaron does on a regular basis to be good at what he does. And some of the things that they do see, they're like, "Oh, that's all I got to do." But Aaron's much more. He's much broader and more well-rounded than that. And so anyway, going back to being bored, what you said earlier, I agree with that too. Like, if all I do is hike a hill with a backpack on, that doesn't get me as excited to work out either as some of the workouts that we do. I never know what's going to happen, what I'm going to get hit with that day when I go into the gym. It's like playtime for me.
Yeah. And the people, like the family at my gym, it's not a community, it's a family of people that so oftentimes I might be closer to them than my own family because I spend so much time with them. And when you see somebody finish a workout first and they don't go put away their equipment, they walk over and cheer on everyone until the last person is done with the workout and the last person is getting the biggest cheers. It's empowering, and working out alongside trustworthy peers is huge. I think you and I, we've worked out together last year at ATA show, but that was a fun group. Like, I don't even remember what we did. I just remember the people.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like some of your best hunts. Maybe you didn't kill something, but you remember the people you were with and the memories you make. And so if you can make memories while working out, heck, that must be a pretty good program.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm a big fan of it. I will keep doing that along with the other things I sprinkle in.
Yes.
Cam's got me into running, which I never really, it's like, I don't want to run, But lately, I've really enjoyed running.
Good.
Like, I'm like, I like to run. I don't quite feel like a wolf running through the woods and there's not these endorphins like Cam described. I will admit, though, when I'm running downhill, I feel pretty dang good.
Yeah, definitely. No.
And then when I run uphill, I'm like, why do people run? I'm asking that question.
I don't know. Well, I like running. Sometimes I feel like I was born to run, and when I go and try to lift heavy weights, I'm just going against the grain. But I got to hear before, you hunted my country, which is North Idaho. I'm from Spokane, but I hunt the jungle. What did you think? Because you have hunted the Oregon.
Yeah.
You've been in the Oregon jungle. That's a different jungle. What do you think of the North Idaho jungle?
So I admittedly did not hunt Rosie's that much.
Okay.
If I had a choice and I had time, I would rather drive an extra 3 hours to get to the Rockies and just hunt over there. I just like the sun. I like the mountains, the open country. I just liked it more. So I didn't do a lot, but when I did experience it. And when you're hunting Rosie's on the coast, it was like straight up, straight down, ferns neck deep, and you're like sliding and falling constantly.
Everything's wet.
And everything's wet, and the ground isn't really the ground. It's like 3 feet of dead debris that's hundreds of years old that's still decomposing. You know what I mean? It's just a different muggy kind of feel. When I went to northern Idaho, it was different because it seemed like in the coast of Oregon, it's super brushy, but all of it's like soft leafy crap.
Right.
Northern Idaho was like just as thick, but it was like stout brush,
Rigid.
like rigid brush that like
Huckleberry brush.
yeah, like just stuff that wants to rip your clothes off and poke holes in you and scratch you and
Willows.
Like it was. Aaron described it. He used a Chuck Adams quote. He's like, I think it was Chuck Adams. He's like, imagine climbing, a 10-story building. You're going up the stairs. Now imagine someone is whipping you with brush and sticks every step you take in the face and in the body.
And what'd you think of the steepness?
Straight up, like staircase.
Legit, huh?
And then he's like, now picture someone spraying you in the face with a hose, or at least from above, the whole time. And that's North Idaho.
Yeah.
And when it wasn't raining, it's beautiful, right? But so thick. Here's my thing. I feel like in North Idaho, there's a lot of chances for a very close encounter, like recurve shot.
Big time.
Right?
Yes.
And it's so thick that they can't see 15 yards.
They can't see you.
They can't see 8 yards, right? And so multiple times we've had opportunities where we are like, boom, there's an elk. And then with a recurve, you have that draw and shoot time, right? It's almost better to hunt that space with a recurve than a compound.
Oh, it's conducive for sure.
Very much. And so that was the thing, as you're walking through all that stuff and you realize a recurve is ideal. But with that, I felt like there was a lot left up to chance. So there was a lot of wolves howling, scream, everywhere. And there was multiple packs everywhere we went. We'd hike miles and we'd get up. There's still wolves there, right?
Yeah.
There were wolves everywhere. And so the elk, I've never been around elk that are highly pressured by wolves.
Yeah.
They act completely different. They don't bugle like they normally do. It's not like they don't bugle at all, but they are different. They bugle carefully. They have escape routes that they have figured out.
Yep.
They purposely feed and move in patterns that protect them from wolves or make it difficult for wolves to capitalize on them. They're figuring out the wolf thing.
I hope so.
And so that makes them, though, also by default harder to hunt because they're hunted by wolves 24/7, 365, right?
Yes.
Before they were hunted by humans, whenever humans had a tag and there was a season, and we were a different kind of predator. And when it went dark at night, so did humans. We don't hunt at night. It's not legal to hunt elk at night. Elk just knew it's dark. Now we can like totally be free, do what we want, scream all night because the humans are gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Animals adapt and evolve. And it's
with
incredible.
wolves, though, there's no nighttime. There's no off day. There's no off hour. They'll hunt you at night. So the elk, even at night, they're never not pressured by wolves. And so it just took a while to figure out how to hunt them differently and to find them. It just makes it harder, more challenging. I'm very rewarding. But
was that your first time hearing a wolf in the wild?
Yes.
Did hair on the back of your neck? I mean, are we talking?
Dude, I shot that wolf with my bow.
So epic.
Dude, I mean,
I owe you a steak dinner.
And they were howling like the night before.
Yep.
Like crazy. I'm like, wow. And they were going off. And there were wolves from just all the ridges, different
they spread
groups.
out. Yeah.
And it's not like a coyote at all. I mean, not even close. I thought, coyote,
It sounds cool, but it's they're hard. There's that scale of I think I heard you and Corey's podcast on here, and he seemed to be very tolerable with wolves. He's a little more tolerable than I am. I've seen it pretty bad.
I was more tolerable than Corey. By the end of it, he was a little more on it with me. I think I just don't like the idea of extirpating an entire species.
Oh yeah.
From the world.
I don't think that's possible anymore. I don't think that's possible with wolves. They're resilient.
Oh yeah, now that they're
so
here,
brilliant.
there's no stopping them.
We can't stop, but we
But-
can try to manage them.
And that's the thing is, I just don't want you to get in the way of managing them.
Yeah.
Right. But back to your Idaho question, I think if I have to make a choice, though, I felt like in other units, I have more. The chess game is more in my control, so I can go. Oh, there's elk over there in that basin. There's elk over here, and there's elk down there, and then I can figure out ways of how I want to hunt them, how I want to get after them. In North Idaho, it's so thick. If they don't make a sound, it's really hard to find them. Right?
Yes.
So you're kind of walking and still hunting, and it just felt like it was like a chance hunt. Like you're kind of walking around and you're hoping that something happens. And then you can exercise your skill as an archer, to capitalize in that moment. But I felt like there was just a lot just of walking around like hoping things would work out. You get in the right place at the right time. And I like hunts where I'm like Alberta was awesome for me because I like being able to see it and then feel like I had more control over the hunt. You know what I mean?
Definitely. I hunted the North Idaho for, I think, 4 years until I killed a bull. It was a steep learning curve. And what you said, I could not really get into elk unless they were bugling. Now I can, learning the country and learning the elk.
After we hunted there a couple of weeks, we did figure out we will do things totally different if we go back. And now I kind of know where they like to go, what canyons they would use, what their escape routes were, what their feeding patterns were, where bulls tend to like herd up with their different groups. So yeah, now you could leverage that knowledge, but I still like where it's just
a little more open.
Yeah, where you're not like sort of where I just I don't know.
That's why I haven't
it's
gone
close
and
range.
hunt the Coastie Roosevelt's just because of what you described there. I want to know because I get a lot of question and answers on my YouTube channel about hunting, and it seems like everyone's got a different answer for the learning curve. But I promise, it's really steep for elk hunting. How many years did it take you? Did you get lucky on your first year? Or how many years did it take you to get your first elk with a bow?
So I got I went on my first archery hunt when I was like where I had a bow in my hand, where I went for because I hunted deer with my dad, but not elk. Went for my first elk. I think I was with a rifle, and I was 16. And 16, 17, I went those 2 years with a rifle, and I didn't get it done. And I had opportunities. I buck fever,
learning
choke.
curve.
And then after 17, I got into girls and sports, and I fished a lot but didn't hunt.
Yeah.
And then I went off to college. Went off to Japan as a missionary. Came back. Went off to college, and I fished the whole time, every chance I got. But I didn't hunt because I didn't really have the. As soon as I graduated and got my degree and got settled, I went into hunting, big game hunting, like every chance I got. So that was about 2004. I went and bought a bow, started going, and I hunted 2004 and didn't kill anything. 2005, didn't kill anything. 2006, and I killed something. And then 2007, I missed the bull I should have killed, and then I killed in 2008 or 9. So long story short, I've killed 4 elk in like 5 elk in maybe 8-9 years.
Yeah.
9 years.
Yeah.
So 1 out of 2 years.
That's great.
But those years I didn't kill, I didn't have a lot of those years I didn't hunt because I only had a week or 2 of vacation.
Right.
So I went out with Anthony. He drew around Emily twice. So I was like, I'm just going to help you. And both times all I did was help him.
And that's
and
good
then,
learning too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was calling for him and doing all this stuff. And I went out again with Anthony's dad and just tried to get him an elk. And Mark Brownlee, just tried to get him an elk and not hunt for myself. So a lot of that, I wasn't hunting for me. I was hunting for other people.
Yeah.
Mixed in there. But I would say that said, I still grew up around when I still went hunting for elk a bunch of times where I didn't have a tag as a youth, just with uncles and stuff like that. And I hung out with my cousin, Ben, who never stopped hunting from like 16 to like, 28. He never stopped.
Yeah.
He was killing elk every chance he got. So when I finally graduated from college, was like, hey, I'm ready to get back into hunting, He was like, where you been? And then I got a lot of support from that. And then when I hung out with my buddy Anthony, he taught me a lot. And I learned a lot really quickly from both of those guys. And now the last year I've been hunting with Aaron. I've learned a ton of stuff from Aaron. So if you can find somebody that is a good hunter, your learning curve is way better. I mean, much faster. You can learn much faster with someone there with you than you can from a podcast, from a book, from a YouTube video. I mean, the best way to do it is to just watch somebody who's
Get mentored.
deadly.
Yep, get mentored.
And see what they do. Copy it.
Yeah, man.
I mean, but it's not that easy. A lot of guys can't find that guy,
Yeah.
Can't find a partner. I get that all the time. We talk about hunting partners, how awesome it is to have good hunting partners. And that is something that a lot of guys, are upset about. They write in there like, I can't find a good hunting partner. There's nobody here. And so that's a whole podcast in itself. But
That's a good one. You should do that.
But I think hunting solo is highly rewarding. I've hunted blacktails solo for years, and I actually got to a point where I was like, you know what, I like this because I'm alone. Because it's just my moment.
Deal. All the decisions, good or bad, are on you. I elk hunt a lot by myself. I don't mind sharing a camp or a base camp with anyone.
Yeah.
But I do like to hunt by myself for elk, and people are like, well, do you need a caller? And you don't, I don't, but I'm sure it's good to have one. But there's nothing more rewarding knowing that you made all the mistakes or the right decisions, and you're on your timeline. You're on your timeline. If I want to stay and listen for bugles till midnight because I couldn't find an elk, that's what I'm going to do. And
the same thing. When you're alone, that's awesome. The daunting thing with an elk is when you're alone, if you're far away from friends and family you can call. I mean, you're like, that's a lot of meat to pack out by yourself.
Yeah. Yep.
But I've changed. Like, I used to be like, I don't want to go 8 miles in and kill an elk because that means I got to pack 250 pounds at least of meat out with me. And if I'm carrying 110-pound backpack or 120-pound, I might do it in 2 trips. It's going to be hell.
It's going to. Oh yeah, it's gonna be
or
horrible.
3 trips.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And that's 8 miles in, 8 miles out, 8 miles in, 8 miles out, 8 miles in, 8 miles out. That used to be daunting to me. Like, but now 8 miles seems
you can wrap your mind around
like
it.
nothing. Like not that big a deal. Like me and Aaron traveled 12 miles a day, like 5-6 times in a 7-day period. Just up, down, around. It wasn't that. I guess it used to seem like a big deal. Now we weren't carrying 100 pounds, but we were packing 70.
Yeah.
No,
there's only a finite number of September days in your lifetime. Back to fitness, and I don't know why you cannot squander those. Like, it's limited. You have X amount of days.
Especially for a guy like I was building a career. I was trying to provide for a family, and I had a week's vacation, man, or 10 days tops that I could really take away and justify doing. That made it really tough for me to.
And my heart goes out because there's a lot of guys that watch your show that are blue collar, and they're not able to take 2 weeks off for elk hunting because that's all they got is 2 weeks, and Mama Bear is going to want one of those weeks.
I know.
So
my wife was really cool about it. I would cram in 3-day weekends.
Yep.
Where I get off. I negotiate stuff with my boss so I could have a Friday off. Technically I was working kind of from home like that, but I could do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and if I did that, repeat enough, and that was, then I could use my consecutive days of vacation for the hunting, and she was cool with that. And then as time went on, it went from 2 weeks to 4 weeks to 5 weeks to 6 weeks paid vacation. I was able to do more, but just in the last few years, but now, like, I can go in, I can shoot an elk, and I really don't care if it takes me 3 days to pack it out.
Nope.
I enjoy it. I enjoy the grind. I enjoy the fitness. I enjoy how it feels, the walk. And I'm patient now. When I was a younger guy, I was not patient. I was like, how boring is it to just haul meat back and forth? But now I don't feel that way at all.
It's sustenance. We live off elk at my house. It's not boring. It is awesome. It is cheers when I get that text out to my wife that we got meat. That's really cool. And the whole do your own killing and that kind of movement, I kind of like it, to be honest with you. I like knowing where our food comes from, and if it helps justify our heritage of hunting, I'll use that argument. If it's, I've heard people argue that it's not a good argument, but
I think it's no. It
makes the most sense
for an elk especially. I have a hard time holding out for some big horned beast, because for me it's like those elk steaks are like a huge part of that accomplishment, that treasure of the animal. Whereas with a mule deer, like Aaron and I talked about earlier, we could pass on a mule deer.
Sure.
Because, you're getting some meat, but it's not like meat you get off an elk.
Nothing.
And so it's like, we hunt elk to fill the freezer. We hunt mule deer to chase a big antlered animal.
Sure.
And not that we're not going to go after a big bull or don't get excited by a big bull when the opportunity comes up, but we are so content with a raghorn that comes in.
Yep. I'm content with killing a raghorn. I usually kill one every year first. I usually get 2 elk tags, and I've shot spikes, raghorns. There's no shame in my game. I love elk meat, and we butcher it ourselves, and my wife loves elk meat. And when you can start filling your sister's freezers and some of your employees, what a blessing. What a blessing, man.
No doubt. What, if people wanted to find elk shape on YouTube, what is one of your highest viewed or one of those videos that you've created that you really like?
Well, the highest viewed one is it's titled "Elk Hunt Turns to Wolf Hunt," and that's just controversial. That's why that one's so high. But I had a lot of wolves ruin an elk hunt, and there's some great footage of that. We're getting kicked out.
Yeah.
No, on elk shape, there's I like. It's the main page video. I did a documentary, little 8-minute piece on what it means to be an elk shape to me. My family's involved there. I show kind of my daily training and my daily shooting and what I do for work, and that I'm a real person just like you. And it's like the very first video on the page.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's it called?
I don't remember. I think it's just called Elk Shape.
Elk Shape.
It's just Elk Shape.
Elk Shape. Well, dude, thank you, Dan. I appreciate you coming on
here. We did it.
Talking about elk shape. Use hashtag elk shape. I think Mountain Ops has been using that. Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. Seems like everybody likes elk shape.
Yeah.
It's a good tag, man.
Yeah. So is gritty. I love the word gritty. You can use gritty for anything.
I do like gritty, too. And with that, stay gritty, Dan.
All right, brother.
Thanks, man.
You bet.
The future of public lands. All of us own them, all of us use them. Political activists are demanding us to hand over the public lands where the state's legislators could transfer and control these lands. U.S. citizens own 640 million acres of public lands, which creates 6.1 million jobs and generates $646 billion per year.
States have been selling off land to pay bills for over 100 years, thus closing access to the public. 39% of original 64 million acres have been sold. The cost of land management would break most state budgets. For instance, who will pay the hundreds of millions of dollars to fight major wildfires each year? It doesn't matter how many promises are made. The financial reality is it will force states to have to sell off our public land.
President Theodore Roosevelt said, "We must preserve our lands for future generations, not merely to the people now alive, but to the unborn people. Our duty to the whole bids us restrain an unprincipled present-day minority from wasting the heritage of these unborn generations."